If you've ever wondered what the Wild West would look like in space, congrats! You've discovered one of TV's most fun subgenres, the space western. Think outlaws, bounty hunters, and mysterious strangers drifting into town, only this time the towns are on distant planets and the showdowns involve blasters instead of revolvers. For this video, we're focusing strictly on live-action space westerns. So as much as we love Brave Star, Outlaw Star, or even the original Cowboy Bebop anime, they didn't make the cut here. But what's left is still a goldmine of gunslinging, star-hopping adventures. Cowboy Bebop. We'll start with the most controversial one. Say what you want about Netflix's adaptation, but the Western vibes are definitely there. From bounty hunters drifting through the galaxy to dusty, lawless outposts that feel ripped from an old spaghetti western, the DNA of the genre is woven into every shootout and showdown. The live-action version couldn't quite capture the lightning-in-a-bottle magic of the original anime, but it still leaned hard into the mix of noir and cowboy swagger. Love it or hate it, Cowboy Bebop still wears its space western badge loud and proud. Vagrant Queen. If you like your space westerns with a punk rock edge, Vagrant Queen delivers just that. The show centers on Alita, a former child queen turned outlaw scavenger who'd rather drink and hustle than reclaim her throne. Alongside her reluctant partners in crime, Alita bounces across strange planets, dodging mercenaries, laser shootouts, and political conspiracies, all with snark and swagger. The show didn't take itself too seriously, which made it a blast, equal parts campy and clever. Unfortunately, it only lasted one season, but Vagrant Queen carved out a cult following for its cheeky humor and unapologetic rebel spirit. Killjoys. If you're looking for pure space western swagger, Killjoys has that in spades. The series follows Dutch, Johnny, and Davin, three bounty hunters working in the Quad, a planetary system riddled with class wars. The trio aren't just chasing warrants, they are navigating messy politics and galaxy-spanning conspiracies. At its core, though, Killjoys thrives on character chemistry, especially Dutch's badass leadership and her banter with Johnny. Stylish, funny, and packed with laser shootouts and barroom dust-ups. Over 5 seasons, Killjoys went from Bounty of the Week fun to epic space opera, without ever losing its roguish western soul. Starhunter. Before Killjoys, there was Starhunter, a space western that quietly did its thing in the early 2000s. The show follows bounty hunter Dante Montana and his crew aboard the Tulip, chasing down fugitives across the galaxy. But like any good space western, it isn't just about the shootouts. It mixes in family drama, corporate corruption, and the looming mystery of alien influence. Gritty, serialized, and way more ambitious than its budget, Starhunter definitely scratches that frontier in space itch. It even got an update in 2018 that gave us an expanded version of the original show, a hidden gem for fans who love their sci-fi with danger and outlaws. Dark Matter. What happens when 6 strangers wake up on a spaceship with no memory of who they are? That's the hook of Dark Matter, and it's one of the sleekest takes on the space western formula. Each crew member slowly uncovers their shady past and has to decide whether to embrace who they were or forge something new. At first glance, it's a mystery thriller in space, but beneath the laser fights and bounty hunts is a story about identity, redemption, and family, the chosen kind. Cancelled too soon after just 3 seasons, Dark Matter still has fans campaigning for its revival. Star Trek: The Original Series. Sure, Star Trek is more often called the grandfather of sci-fi, but let's be real, the original series had plenty of space western DNA. Captain Kirk wasn't just boldly going where no one had gone before, he was the sheriff of the galaxy, rolling up to new planets, squaring off with outlaw aliens, and solving problems with a mix of diplomacy and charm. And the USS Enterprise was basically a stagecoach on warp drive. Yes, it was campy, but it also broke barriers and set the stage for every space frontier show that came after. Without it, the whole genre would look completely different. Earth 2. NBC tried its hand at a space western in the mid-90s with Earth 2, a blend of frontier survival and sci-fi adventure. The show follows a group of colonists who leave Earth to settle a new planet, only to crash land and find themselves in a hostile, uncharted wilderness. Instead of saloons and dusty trails, it's alien landscapes and dangerous native species. But the vibe? Pure pioneer spirit. Families trying to survive, settlers clashing with mysterious locals, and leaders wrestling with moral choices. Though it only lasted one season, Earth 2 stood out for its ambitious storytelling and environmental themes. Blake 7. Way before Firefly brought us charming space outlaws, Blake 7 was already charting that territory. This British cult classic follows Raj Blake and his ragtag crew of rebels as they hijack a powerful alien ship and take on a corrupt Federation. Darker and more cynical than most sci-fi of its era, the show leaned into moral gray areas. The crew weren't shiny heroes, they were flawed, desperate, sometimes unlikable, but always compelling. With its gritty vibe, clever writing, and shocking finale, Blake 7 feels like the blueprint for the morally complex space westerns that came decades later. Star Trek Deep Space Nine. If the original series was the wagon train to the stars, Deep Space Nine was the frontier outpost. Set on a remote space station at the edge of the Federation, DS9 swapped exploration for politics and war. Captain Sisko was less gunslinger, more weary sheriff trying to keep peace among smugglers, diplomats, and an intergalactic bar owner who knows everybody's secrets. The show had that dusty, lawless town feel, except the saloon was Quark's bar. As the Dominion War ramped up, DS9 leaned into gritty, serialized storytelling, proving that Star Trek could be just as much about holding the fort as venturing into the unknown. The Mandalorian. Few shows have nailed the space western aesthetic like The Mandalorian. From the opening standoff to the dusty cantinas, it's basically a western in space. Mando is the classic lone gunslinger, wandering from town to town, taking jobs, and reluctantly becoming a dad to the galaxy's cutest green toddler, Grogu. Each episode feels like a frontier adventure, complete with duels and morally complicated choices. What makes it sing is the balance between mythic Star Wars lore and classic Western tropes. It's Clint Eastwood meets Jedi Knights, and the perfect reminder that at its heart, Star Wars is a space Western saga. The Book of Boba Fett. After decades as Star Wars' coolest background bounty hunter, Boba Fett finally got his own show, and it leaned into space Western territory hard. The Book of Boba Fett follows the iconic helmeted warrior as he claws his way into becoming the new crime lord of Tatooine. With desert shootouts and tense negotiations straight out of a frontier town showdown, the series put a Western spin on Star Wars Galaxy. Sure, fans were divided, but there's no denying the vibes. Watching Boba stake his claim in Mos Espa felt like watching a lone gunslinger trying to civilize a wild territory, blaster always at the ready. Honorable mentions. Before we wrap, let's tip our hat to a few other shows that bring the Western spirit to sci-fi, even if they are set firmly on Earth. Westworld turned an android-populated theme park into a brutal, high-tech Western. Defiance gave us a post-invasion Earth that felt like Dodge City with aliens. Winona Earp reimagined the Old West through a demon-slaying descendant of Wyatt Earp. And Fallout turned the irradiated wastelands into a retro-futuristic Wild West where gunslingers ride vertibirds instead of horses. And then there are the sci-fi shows that aren't space westerns at heart, but dip their toes in the genre for an episode or two. Red Dwarf's Gunmen of the Apocalypse episode spoofed Western tropes in glorious fashion. Doctor Who went full frontier showdown with A Town Called Mercy. Starfleet even got dusty more than once. The Next Generation's A Fistful of Data's episode and Enterprise's North Star episode both played Space Sheriff. Stargate SG-1 gave us Beast of Burden, which had serious Western allegory energy. And Battlestar Galactica's The Lost Warrior episode was basically a cowboy shootout with Cylons. Firefly. And no conversation about space westerns is complete without Firefly. This cult classic mashed up westerns with deep space smuggling, creating one of the most beloved one-season wonders in TV history. Captain Mal Reynolds and the crew of Serenity weren't polished Federation officers. They were misfits, outlaws, and survivors, just trying to make a living on the edge of a galaxy run by an oppressive government. The show leaned into Western imagery, with dusty border planets and saloon brawls, while delivering sharp dialogue and unforgettable characters. Cancelled after just 14 episodes, Firefly became the ultimate gone-too-soon series. Fans still chant, "We want more," proving you can't take the sky from them. Did we round up your favorite space westerns, or is there a show we missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the TV Show Pilot YouTube channel for more videos like this.